96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. The former president of the Court of Appeal calling for a review of the law on abortion. Dame Anita suggesting decriminalization of abortion, if only in certain cases. A local pastor seeks to make a case against the marital rape law. And the Ministry of Education says it's targeting students affected by learning loss. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's there. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, August 28th, 2023. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Laverne Gardner will be joining us on this Monday. Also this morning, we're talking with the University of the Bahamas about the study they're doing examining psychological abuse, psychological abuse of women in intimate relationships with men, and the research that has been done. As a result of this, we'll talk about the findings this morning. And later in business, we will get details on a special partnership we have here at Guardian Radio. We'll tell you all about that coming up this morning. That's all straight ahead. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, given the serious increase in sexual violence against women and girls in the country, an urgent review of the penal code and the interpretation of the protection to the right of life in Article 16 of the Bahamas Constitution ought to be undertaken. That's according to former President of the Court of Appeal, Dame Anita Allen. She says this needs to be done in order to possibly decriminalize abortion, at least in the case of rape and incest. Dame Anita saying that the suggestion is proffered because the forced continuation of pregnancy by rape is likely to be subject the victim to further violation and to lifelong and life-changing stress and trauma, and because the state, she says, is failing to guarantee access to legal abortion in such circumstances. She said she pointed out that although the lack of access to safe and legal abortions is considered by many to be a matter of human rights, abortion in the Bahamas is still unlawful, except where it is caused by an act done in good faith for the purposes of medical or surgical treatment. The abortion issue has become particularly topical in the country in recent times following an incident that resulted in a 40-year-old woman being charged with aggravated causing harm for the purpose of an abortion and performing that illegal abortion in relation to an alleged abortion for her 11-year-old daughter. Dame Anita did not focus on that case, but spoke generally on the issue of achieving gender equality through legislative reform. She was speaking at the 13th Commonwealth Women's Affairs Ministers meeting in the Bahamas. She noted there remain significant obstacles to gender equality in the country, and as a result of the Constitution, given there is no substantive enforceable protection from discrimination on the ground of sex or gender. Well, Grace Community Church Senior Pastor Lyle Bethel says that he would reject any law that would weaponize sex in a marriage and said there is no need to move forward with the marital rape law. During a press conference yesterday, Bethel, surrounded by senior members of his church and the Sexual Offenses Act, he said that the Sexual Offenses Act already provides sufficient remedy in cases of sexual assault in marriage. He was referring to Section 15 of the Act, which criminalizes sexual assault by a spouse in the case where the couple is divorced, has a decree of judicial separation, a separation agreement, or are separated in other circumstances. However, the law defines rape as the act of any person not under 14 years of age having sexual intercourse with another person who is not his spouse without the consent of the person. In 2022, a Supreme Court judge ruled that though a woman who filed for divorce claimed she felt like a rape victim for an extensive period of time when her spouse had sex with her, as it stands, though, the law does not provide for rape in marriage in this country. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has not yet received the case file for Azario Major, who was killed by police in 2021. In May, a coroner's jury unanimously ruled Major's death as a homicide by manslaughter. However, the verdict of the jury carries no weight in the criminal justice system, as it does not assign blame. It'll be up to Acting Director of Public Prosecutions Cordell Frazier or a lawyer acting on her behalf to review the file to determine if any consequences will flow from the jury's finding. Asked if a decision had been made in the cases yet, Frazier saying yesterday that they haven't received the file to assess who, if anyone, should be charged. She says that once the Commissioner of Police or his agent forwards that file, they can assess it. Major was killed outside Woody's Bar on Fire Trail Road in December of 2021. According to police, Major was put out of the establishment twice by off-duty officers for allegedly behaving in a belligerent manner. When he returned a third time, officers confronted him outside the establishment and shot him after he allegedly pointed a gun in their direction. An expert hired by the Major family, testified at the inquest after being declared an expert in crime scene reconstruction. However, this month, Justice Franklin Williams declined to deem the expert in crime scene reconstruction after he was called a witness for a defendant in an ongoing murder trial. A 22-year-old man granted $10,000 bail last week after he was charged with vehicular manslaughter. Exuma Street resident Justin Pratt is being held criminally responsible for the death of Carol Fortune in April 2022. Fortune was reportedly walking on a sidewalk on Market Street when he was struck by a motorcyclist who kept going. Prosecutors say the biker was Pratt and that he was operating the vehicle without third-party insurance coverage. Pratt was not required to enter or plead to the charge when he appeared before Assistant Chief Magistrate Subasolo Swain because his trial will be held in the Supreme Court. Prosecutors intend to fast-track the matter to the Supreme Court on October 2nd with the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. And some sad news for the Guardian Media Group and group of companies. Stephen Joseph Haughey, the Chief Operating Officer and Financial Controller of the Nassau Guardian and of Kalina, who came to the Bahamas from Canada over 3 decades ago and made this country his home, died in Florida early Sunday after brief illness. Steve was instrumental in the operations of Kalina Holdings Bahamas Limited and Guardian Media Group, a chartered accountant by profession. He was a visionary and strategic thinker who was charged with overseeing and maximizing the functional synergies of the companies. Steve played a pivotal role in shaping the Nassau Guardian and previously worked at the Tribune and was instrumental in the launch of 100 Jams, the first private radio station in the Bahamas. Steve Haughey dead at age 59. Overseas, a powerful gang opened fire on a large group of parishioners led by a pastor as they marched through a community armed with machetes to rid the area of gang members. It happened Saturday. The attack was filmed in real time by journalists at the scene, and several people were killed and others injured. The director of a human rights group in the country watching online as hundreds of people from a local church marched through Canaan, a makeshift town in the outskirts of the capital of Port-au-Prince, founded by survivors who lost their homes in the devastating 2010 earthquake. It wasn't immediately clear how many people were killed and injured in the attack. Canaan is controlled by a gang led by a man identified only as Jeff, who is believed to be allied with the 5 Seconds gang. Gangs have grown more powerful since the July 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse, and they are estimated to control up to 80% of Port-au-Prince. The director of Haiti's Center for Analysis and Research in Human Rights telling the AP that he also watched the event unfold online and planned to ask the Ministry of Justice to investigate. He accused the pastor of being irresponsible because he engaged a group of people and put them in a situation like this. The prisoners who clutched machetes and yelled, "Free Canaan," were no match for the gang members who were armed with assault rifles. From January 1st until April 15th, more than 2,400 people in Haiti were reportedly killed, more than 950 kidnapped, and another 902 injured, according to the most recent United Nations statistics. Fed up with the surge in gang violence, Haitians organized the violent movement in April known as Bois Kale, and that targets suspected gang members. More than 350 people have been killed since the uprising began, according to the UN. In sports, it's all done now. The World Athletics Championships in Hungary. For the very latest, let's go to Sheldon Longley in Budapest.
Bahamas, this is Sheldon Longley coming to you one final time from the 19th World Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary. And I can tell you the Bahamas finished in a 5-way tie for 44th overall with 8 points. 5 of those points coming from Devon Charlton with a 4th place finish in the women's 100-meter hurdles. And the other 3 coming from Anthony Strachan with her 6th place finish in the women's 200 meters, both of them having some of their best collection of races ever at a global meet. Devon Charlton setting a national record 12.44 seconds, and Anthony having 3 of the 4 fastest times of her career here in Budapest. So remarkable accomplishments by both of them. And like I said, the Bahamas finishing in a 5-way tie for 44th overall with 8 points. The U.S. dominated the medal standings and the placing chart. In the medal standings, they got 12 gold, 8 silver, and 9 bronze for 29 total medals. Their neighbors to the north, Canada, was second actually with 4 gold and 2 silver for 6 medals. And Spain winning 4 gold and 1 silver for 5 total medals. Interesting to note that all 4 of their gold medals came in the race walking events, the 20-kilometer race walk events and the 35-kilometer race walk events. Jamaica was a top Caribbean country and 4th overall with 3 gold, 5 silver, and 4 bronze for 12 total medals. And as mentioned, the Bahamas finishing with no medals, but finishing in a 5-way tie for 44th overall with 8 points. In the placing chart, the U.S. is way out front with 277 points. Jamaica was second with 139 points, and Kenya was third with 112 points. It's a pretty interesting championship. One of the best that I've ever been to. Budapest really went all out to put on a good show. On the penultimate night of the track and field championships, they had a special tribute to the U.S. for winning 3 gold medals on that day, including both of the relay medals. The stadium was actually lit up in the U.S. colors on the outside, so I thought that was a pretty nice gesture by the technical committee here in Budapest, lighting up the stadium on the outside in the U.S. colors as a tribute for them winning 3 gold medals on that day, inclusive of both relays on Saturday. Overall, like I said, it was a great championships. One of the innovative things that Budapest did as well was the establishment of a queue room. It was in that same room where Anthony got scared by the game's mascot Yoo-Hoo. That was a popular occurrence. These 19th World Athletics Championships, it was all over social media, all over the stadium billboards. They were showing it quite a bit. So Anthony catching some highlights here. I'm sure that's not the way that she wanted to catch it, but still being highlighted, for the duration of the championships after being scared by the game's mascot Yoo-Hoo. The queue room was actually established as a waiting room for athletes to wait to see if they qualify for the next round. So that was one of the innovative things that Budapest did. They also had the establishment of a medal stand on the outside of the stadium where athletes got their medals outside. So that was something different as well. But like I said, the 19th World Athletics Championships is completed now. We saw a lot of veterans rising to the forefront. Shelley Ann Fraser-Price still going strong. Sharika Jackson setting a new championship record in the women's 200 meters, 21.41 seconds, the second fastest time of all time. And we also saw the establishment of some new stars as well. Angelo Watson of Jamaica in the men's 400 meters, and Mariletis Paulino of the Dominican Republic in the women's 400 meters. There was just one world record set, and that came from the U.S. mixed relay team. Quite a number of championship records and personal best and national records. And overall, I thought it was a pretty good meet. An outstanding job done by the Budapest Organizing Committee. So once again, the Bahamas finishing in a five-way tie for 44th overall with 8 points. The U.S. dominating the placing chart with 277 points. Jamaica second, 139, and Kenya third with 112. This is Sheldon Long reporting one final time from the 19th World Athletics Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
And special thanks to Sheldon for all the great work he's been doing in Hungary. That is sports. And that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. Your first look at weather brought to you by Nescafe Coffee. We've got hazardous sea conditions that's going to continue along Atlantic exposed coast, emanating from what is now a major hurricane, Franklin, out in the Atlantic, churning well to the east of the Bahamas, so no threat to us, but getting more powerful. A weak pressure pattern will remain over the area, keeping light to moderate breezes. Meanwhile, moisture associated with Tropical Storm Idalia over in the Gulf of Mexico, in the extreme southwestern Gulf right now, will spread northeastwards. This will eventually ignite some unsettled weather over portions of the islands beginning late tonight. So we've got a number of warnings. Beachgoers are advised not to enter Atlantic exposed waters or beaches due to dangerous rip currents and rough surf conditions. Mariners should also stay in port due to building seas along Atlantic exposed coasts. Residents reminded to remain hydrated and stay out of the sun, as we're expecting another day with triple-digit heat indices. For all areas today, forecast calling for mostly sunny and hot conditions with a few cloudy intervals and isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming partly cloudy and warm tonight with the onset of unsettled weather beginning over portions of the northwest Bahamas later this evening. Stormcraft advisory in effect due to swells, and mariners are urged to avoid venturing near Atlantic exposed coasts. Winds light and variable over the northwest Bahamas, southwest to west at 10 knots or less in the central Bahamas, and southwesterly at 10 to 15 knots in the southeast Bahamas. Seas 3 feet or less near shore, but up to 9 feet in northeast to easterly swells along Atlantic exposed coastlines in the northwest and central Bahamas, and 2 to 4 feet near shore, but up to 6 feet in northeasterly swells along Atlantic exposed coasts in the southeast Bahamas. Temperatures right now about 81 degrees. We're looking at highs getting up to around 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius. But the heat index will make you feel like it's 108 Fahrenheit, 42 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 79 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook and look at the tropics. A lot happening in the tropics. We'll get to that after traffic in just a bit. Your first look at weather brought to you by Nescafe Coffee. Elevate your coffee experience with Nescafe Gold.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of the new way.
It is time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
It's a new day. Wake up, 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 wake up.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
At Alive, we believe that every common loftier goal is within our reach. We believe in the essence of our identity, the richness of our history, and the boundless potential that lies within us. That's why our network is built by, owned by, and managed by us. Alive, believe in Bahamians. Visit BeAlive.com to take advantage of our Golden Independence deals. Alive, believe in best.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
Shavara Roka Enias, Chickchani Farms. I don't think I chose farming. I think farming chose me. Winning this award would definitely give us the funding that we need to start our farming season. Most persons who are in the agriculture field realize that at the start of the season, which is in the next couple of weeks, you do always need a bulk of cash. I think we have a great track record for the work that we've been doing in agriculture over the last 10 years. And so when I saw the opportunity for an award like this, I figured, you know what, I should just go ahead and enter.
The Agrarian Awards, September 16th.
It's your back-to-school bro with Scotiabank. Use any Scotiabank credit card to purchase any back-to-school items valuing $150 and over, and you could be one of 3 lucky winners of $1,500. That's up to $4,500 in cash back for you to win your share when you buy books, uniforms, shoes, laptops, tablets, phones, and other accessories for back-to-school using your Scotiabank credit card. Visit bs.scotiabank.com for more information. Promotion ends September 3rd, 2023.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of the new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas, Channel 969, and BTC Flow, Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line, powered by BTC, 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Join me now. We've got Laverne Gardner. Laverne, good morning. Yep, you're muted. Okay, we'll sort that out. Laverne, coming to you in a bit. Thank you for being here with us on a Monday morning. Coming up this morning, folks, we are going to be talking with UB. They've done some research, marital rape and sexual assault, and the study in the Bahamas, She Must Give It Up, sexual women in heterosexual relationships by intimate partners. We'll talk about the findings of this morning. That's coming up. And later, we're going to be talking with Plato Alpha. They have an essay competition and some great prizes. And it's the title is, What Does Going Digital Mean to You? We'll tell you who can enter that competition this morning. We'll give you all the details and the deadlines, which you need to know, and why we're happy to be a part of this as well. We've got Laverne with us. No? Still sorting that out. Okay. So that's all coming up, but let's get into what else is in the news. And in the news, as we start, as you heard in the overnight, we told you it's a sad day for us, and it's a sad day for the media in the Bahamas, actually. A giant in private media, in the establishment of private radio stations, and getting many of these stations off the ground. Steve Hawhey, a dear friend, colleague, has died. It's a great shock. Unbelievable shock yesterday when I heard the news. And because just this week, Zoom meetings and call and emails. Yeah. Stephen Joseph Hawhey, Chief Operating Officer of Kalina and Financial Controller of the Nassau Guardian, who came to the Bahamas from Canada over 3 decades ago and made the country his home, died in Florida early Sunday after a brief illness. He was only 59. Steve was instrumental in the operations of Kalina Holdings Bahamas and Guardian Media. A chartered accountant by profession, he was a visionary and strategic thinker who was charged with overseeing and maximizing the functional synergies of both companies. Steve, who had a Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Waterloo in Ontario, started his career in the Toronto office of KPMG before his move to Nassau. He previously worked with the Tribune and was instrumental in the launch of 100 Jams, the first private radio station here in the Bahamas. At the Nassau Guardian, he steered the direction and management of the company and was most recently focused on developments on the digital side of the business as well. In a statement, Executive Vice Chairman of Kalina Holdings Limited and Nassau Guardian publisher Emmanuel Alexio, saying, quote, Steve played a pivotal role in shaping the direction of the Nassau Guardian, printmasters, and the radio stations over the past 11 years and contributed immensely to our success. His dedication, wisdom, and passion were evident in every decision he made and every project he undertook. We will remember Steve not only for his professional accomplishments, but also for his unwavering commitment to our team. Extend our heartfelt condolences to Steve's family and loved ones. Survived by his brothers Michael, Patrick, and Gregory, his sister Barbara, and nieces, nephews, and other relatives and friends. And you're going to hear a lot today, I'm sure, from other colleagues here on Guardian Radio and other stations, many other stations. A lot of people were touched by Steve Hawley's influence, and he had a great impact. I met Steve years ago when I was at the Tribune, and yeah, so it's been a long time. And like I said, worked closely in the last few years, and this was a great shock, and great guy to work with. He was a numbers guy, but he was very fair, very, very balanced, and great influence on all of us here. So, again, condolences to all of his family and friends, and to all of us, to everybody who's going to definitely miss him. Steve Hawley, dead at 59. May he rest in peace. Laverne, are we good? No, still challenged with that. Okay, so we're going to get that sorted out with Laverne. And,
Hi.
oh, there we go.
Good morning. Can
Hi.
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Hope you're doing well.
I'm here now. I'm good. How are you?
It's going to be an interesting day. So we will see. Yeah, so. But hey, we press forward. All right. So elsewhere in the news, the abortion debate looks like it's going to heat up after what happened a few weeks ago with the revelation of this 11-year-old who became pregnant and whose mother performed an abortion on her. We've been hearing lots of very interesting commentary on this, right? And now the former president of the Court of Appeal, Damon Nita Allen, saying that we need to look at this again, right? Especially if only in certain cases, decriminalizing abortion, if only in certain cases, especially with what's going on, a case of a child, a case of rape and incest. This hardline stance is it helpful? Is it more hurtful than helpful? Especially when even if it is illegal, many people know what to do and where to go to deal with this issue. So the hypocrisy of it all. Let's get your views on it again before we get into some other issues. Is it time? Is it time then to have the discussions, to talk to, as we see in other countries, you get people who are running for office? That's one of the main questions they're asked. What are your views on this? What do you think? That doesn't come up at all. We don't even get a chance to have debates around here. But is it the question that you need to be asking, one of the many that you need to be asking? That and apparently marital rape, where people stand on that. What say you? In the Tribune today, Wayne Monroe, National Security Minister, he is saying that his view on the debate about abortion is that life begins at conception. He told reporters, quote, "And how we deal with life and being, the Bible tells us that God knew us when we were in our mother's womb, will be a matter for the people at large as a country and as the individuals concerned, because let's not mislead or fool ourselves. If anybody wishes an abortion, they can travel to any part of the world where it could be contracted. So it's a personal decision on the person. But when you change the laws, of a country, since we have certain views, it should be something that should be done after consideration of everything involved." Okay, sure. And as we had calls last week, people noting quite rightly that the hypocrisy of this country, right? So we say those things, yet when a pregnant woman is shot and killed, we do not say that 2 lives were lost. So really, get it together and get on one page. Get in the same book, right? But let's get your views on it, folks. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Laverne, your views on it all. What needs to be happening here?
Well, for me, I agree that life begins at conception. I also believe, um, I support life, but there's a but coming when it comes to children and rape and incest. I I think it has to be different. I think the laws has to be different. It has to take into these things into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I stand on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's hear from you folks. What are you saying? Give us a call. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Yeah. All right. Are you surprised that it is heating up the discussion, the debate on this?
No, I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised. Things, the way that the world is moving, the way that everything is happening, there are things that, for whatever reason, we choose not to address, do not want to address. We are getting to a place where we're going to have to address these issues. Whether we all agree with how it's addressed or all agree with the decisions made, the fact is these are things that we're going to have to talk about. We've not been talking about them, like you say, people, it's against the law, but it's happening, right? I'm not, and that's not because everybody is traveling elsewhere to get it done. So someone knows someone who knows someone. But we're going to have to really start looking at these issues, making these tough decisions, and not just letting them sit there and we'll just pretend like, it's not there. So I'm not surprised that this discussion is happening. Unfortunately, for me, if it goes the route of marital rape, we'll be discussing it
Oh, dear.
forever.
Oh, boy. Can you imagine?
So, yeah.
Can you imagine?
We see how that is going.
Yeah. And we're already hearing.
Because I really didn't think, that we'd still be here discussing this.
Yeah. Boy,
we are.
And you're hearing it already, right? Pastors are saying that even in rape and incest situations, they would have their wives and children carry that child and give birth to that person. Anyway, yeah, it's just wild. Cannot.
Yes, their premise is that child is innocent.
Which one? Not the one who was raped? Oh no. Oh,
okay. But okay.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
sure.
I told you, that's my position. When it comes to those issues, I think that you can't just have a situation where it's just cut and dry.
Yeah. All right, let's see what these callers have to say. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Doing well. Mm-hmm. And if it is incest and you don't know, okay, right. So if it is incest and you don't know, and then you realize, then what? Okay. Right. So you listen to what I'm asking. So if you find out after 3 months, like, oh my gosh, this child is pregnant, then what should you do? And if it's before 3 months, same thing? Well, the child was raped, so that child's destroyed too. Okay. Not in the Bahamas. Not in the Bahamas. That's what they're trying to do. That's what they're trying to do. You do because right now that doesn't exist. No, you're refusing to listen. Okay. That's all they're trying to do, tweak it. You're right. But you're not listening also. But that's interesting. Okay. Typical. 323-62. I don't understand.
I don't know if you can hear. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
I don't know if that was just that caller, but I absolutely could not hear anything. I could only hear your responses.
Okay. Well, I could hear him. I don't know what's going on, producer, if you could see what that's all about. Yeah, all right. 323-6232. You missed an interesting exchange. 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free, 242-300-5720. We got that sorted out? Yeah? Producer? We got, yeah, is that, okay. Let's see. Caller, good morning, you're on the air. Hi, caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Not too bad. Let's just see. Laverne, did you hear that?
Yes, I
Okay,
can
great.
hear her.
Good morning, caller.
Yes, this is a very interesting topic. Here's my view on it. Yes, life begins at conception, when the heartbeat starts. But can that fetus survive outside the womb at any time before 6 weeks? Or up until, 3 months? That's the question we need to ask. And everyone is saying, they don't believe in abortion at any age or any stage. You know what everybody's forgetting? When the child is here. That is a lot of the reasons why we have such high crime rates for unwanted children. When the child is here, where are all of the people that says, I don't believe in abortion at any instance? Who is to take care of that child? Is the mother, because at the end of the day, everything will fall on the mother. The only thing that changes for a man when a child is born is his finances, and that's if he decides to take care of that child. Okay? So my thing is, fine, you don't believe in abortion. You don't think that a child or a rape victim or an incest victim, all rape, okay? If you do not think that that child should have an abortion, I think they need to raise them, provide for them, because we have a lot of kids that's at those children's homes that were probably victims of rape, the results of rape, and no one checks for them. And like you said, what happens to the child? Who has to bear that child? That girl was 11 years old. Yes, she was able to get pregnant, but her body isn't built to carry a child. She is still a child herself.
Yeah, physically and mentally not built.
Exactly. And let's think about it. You make that child carry this child. Let's think about the repercussions after that. We live in a very small community. Nobody is thinking about the mental capacity of that child at 10 and 11 years old. The only thing, I don't believe in abortion. Okay, after not having the abortion, now what? Takes care of that child. And my thing is, why is it that someone who cannot lactate, gestate, or menstruate, telling a woman what she can and cannot do with her body? Because at the end of the day, they don't have to take care of that child. And this infuriates me because me, as a person who have worked with at-risk kids, girls in particular, listening to little girls who have said, in order for me to eat lunch, I had to sleep with my daddy.
Oh, God.
Tell them to go into some of these homes and talk to some of these children and see what they have to endure. But you know what they'll do? Oh, that child, she fasts. She wasn't fast. Someone took advantage of her. Oh, these children around the place, ain't nobody to care for because you who don't have or have the capacity to have children said that you don't believe in abortion. Now a child that nobody wants. Tell them to think about that. Let's have that discussion. And I am so sick and tired because I see it every day. I hear of it all the time. But I don't believe in abortion because you know why? They don't have to deal with it. But until it comes to their doorstep, I suggest, this is me, as a person who worked in the industry and on occasion still have to deal with it. I can remember I had to have, when I was pregnant, and I'm not going to say which home the child got put out of because she got pregnant on their watch. That little girl had to share my bed with me, and we're sharing pills. Okay? She was a child, and you know what that institution did? Put her back in the home where they took her from. Pregnant. Let's have a real discussion about it.
My God. Wow.
That's all I have to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wow, that's it's wild. This text here, how about we don't let men have a say on what happens to a woman's body and instead let them focus on speaking to their fellow brothers about what consent looks like? This text says here, the only question we need to ask is how long we're going to ignore the importance of debates to get an idea of views of those we put in power. Casino gambling is still illegal, but we can gamble online. The only people holding this country back from progress are these MPs we blindly elect without knowing if they know or even care about legislation they should be working on. Stop electing people without debates. Simple. Only party leeches would disagree at this point. I feel like I wrote this text. That's a great text. Thank you so much.
I was about to ask you if you sent that to yourself.
I didn't, but it's wonderful, and I totally agree. If we don't elect the people who don't take part in debates, though, we won't have elections, because they won't. They just aren't. I don't know what it is. Maybe more of us need to demand, right? Yes, it is crazy. I agree. It is crazy. This one says here, the UK has just made a law against sex which is non-consensual. Do you think we should use the term non-consensual sex instead of marital rape as we move forward with legislation protecting individuals against sexual violence? So you think those words are going to make the difference? Yeah?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I don't think it's going to make a difference. But if that's what it takes, yes, go right ahead. Okay, sure. But I guarantee you can't, you're not going to be able to get away with raping your wife over there. But sure, even before that. But okay. This person says, I get frustrated when I think about the issues that come to a head in the national discussion around the same time and then realize the one the government decides to act on. We have a crisis with rape in marriage and reproductive health care, but the government acts on marijuana. Okay, well, is that fair, though? I mean, they've been working on this for a very long time. It happens to come up. You think it's intentional timing? That's what you're saying? They're late. They said last year it was going to happen. So they're just holding it back as a distraction.
We can focus on more than one thing. We can absolutely do that.
You're saying we can?
We can, CAN. Mm-hmm. We act as though we cannot. But we can. Yeah. But what will happen is, but to a certain extent, the text is right. We will bring something else up, not so that we can discuss both, but so that we could shift the conversation.
Yeah. Well, some people are greatly distracted by the medical marijuana discussions right now. Yes, some people. But others are paying attention to what else is going on. So,
well, right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's very possible for us to have more than one thing going on. But in our society, it seems we bring out something else as more of a distraction than to say, you know what, this is a priority, but so is this. Mm-hmm. So we can have two very independent discussions here. Yeah. You know, these are not competing ideas.
Yeah.
These two separate issues, and we can have discussions about both. But in a lot of cases, it feels as if one is brought out to distract from the other. So, okay, we're solely focused on this, so we can't talk about anything else.
Okay. Well, if you allow them to do it, sure. The texter goes on to say, years ago we were discussing citizenship and gambling. The government chose to act on gambling. Again, that's not fair. I mean, we had a whole referendum, and the people got distracted by a lot of nonsense.
You know this. Let's not go down that route, please.
I mean, we could have resolved this issue. Is it? These people did what they did intentionally, and this is where we are. The people did this. The public did this. Allowed themselves to be hoodwinked by foolishness. So we to blame but ourselves in that regard. But anyway, they're putting money and special interests over people's lives. Well, okay. This person says, any man that loves his wife as Christ loves the church wouldn't rape or abuse his wife. And any woman that submits to her husband as God intended and respects him as head wouldn't deny him sensual affection unless her and her husband come to an agreement or if she's sick. Okay, texter. Well, there's a lot of people who don't love his wife as he loves or claims to love Christ. So, yeah, sure, you shouldn't, but it's happening. Can you give statistics of marital rape? That's the texter saying that. Okay. This person says here, wow, so very sorry to hear of the passing of Steve Hawhey. I met him back in 1992 when he worked and was instrumental in the launch of the first private radio station in the country and found him to be the consummate gentleman. May he rest in peace. Yeah. A lot of people in the country are in shock this whole weekend and going into this week. Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, the influence he had on this country, both papers, it's front page story in both papers, as it should be. This person says, I'm really saddened to see that a situation about the rape of an 11-year-old girl has become about abortion. Let's stay focused on the fact that a child was raped by her mother's boyfriend. Okay. It's about all of it. And
it is.
So I don't know. You can't run from it.
I don't think that we've forgotten.
Yeah.
I know I certainly have not. But all of this is a part of it.
Yeah. Let's take these calls really quickly. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight. How are you?
Doing well.
And to Laverne, and to the nation.
Morning.
Dwight, listen, man. I don't understand why we are still 100 years later having the same kind of everything when this, I think, in my humble opinion, is the easy fix. What we need to do is stop pulling kids into school for 12 years and teaching them things that 80% of the things that they learn in school they never use when they become an adult. What we need to do is educate our citizens how to function in society. We need to start educating them from small, how they should function as a child, and as they get older, you teach them in school how they function as a young adult right up to an adult. I mean, and then you teach your kids, godly principles. I'm not talking about religion now. I'm talking about godly principles of how we should function as a human being in society. This thing goes with sense. We sit in school for 12 years and we learn stuff, and 80% of the stuff that I learned in school, Dwight, I have not used yet. It basically comes down to common sense. It comes to common sense, and it comes to how you were raised. My parents raised me, taught me godly principles and everything, and it stuck with me. I know how I'm supposed to function in society. I know I'm not supposed to rape my wife. I know I'm not supposed to steal. I know I'm not supposed to kill because of how I was raised, because what I was taught. And I am teaching my children the same thing. And believe me, Dwight, my little girl is 6 years old and my son is 12 years old. And I am watching them as they develop coming into young adults. And Dwight, they know the difference between right and wrong. They know the do's and they know the don't because I teach them that.
Okay.
So
can we clone you and your parents so that we can put them in the homes of everybody in this country? Because plenty of people don't have this.
Yeah, plenty of people doesn't
and plenty of people have it and still turn out to be degenerates. So
that's the point I'm trying to make now. If we changed our school curriculum and started teaching our children from young how to function in society. Now, the teachers alone can't do it. The parents have to also follow up. But we have kids in school and they're learning things that they're never going to use in life. So I don't know.
Well, that's been the challenge with the human race from day one. So we will always be here, but there have to be serious consequences when people mess up, so that they understand that don't do this again. Right? That's the challenge we're having here. Where there aren't or not serious enough, and people feel, I can deal with that, and I'll continue to do what I like to do. And that's not helping our situation at all. Let's take this call, and we've got to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? Okay. I want to read this message, and then we'll take a commercial break. This person says, this is a long one. The Bible talks about protection for the least among us. That includes the unborn. If you can kill unborn children, then you need not walk the earth. Incest and rape are a small fraction of the abortion. Yeah, how do you know that? I did that study while at UB. Why don't we do a study about how many young girls get abortions today instead of doing a study on marital rape? Tell, the caller to stop talking fool. Give the child up for adoption or a family member. We need to own a dog to tell people how to take care of dogs? What a silly argument. Tell that caller hold her emotions and speak to logic. Just because I don't have a womb or periods doesn't mean I can't discuss abortion. Okay. No comment, Laverne? No? Is she there? Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Let's do this call and then we're going to go to the break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
All right, Dwight. I don't know what happened. The phone just cut out. Or you cut it off.
I don't know what you're talking about, but welcome. Good morning.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The phone just cut out. I don't know what happened.
This is the first time we're hearing you, but go on. Mm-hmm.
I was calling you before you spoke.
Okay.
But anyway, Dwight, I'm sorry to say, there's so many things happening in this little country. I don't understand why it's going on like this. Over the weekend, on Wednesday, I had a bad fall. The next morning, I got up, I couldn't walk. Ended up going to the doctor, doing all kind of tests and everything. The following morning, Saturday morning, a shooting pain came from the calf area up to my thigh, and I couldn't take it. They had to rush me to Flamingo Gardens clinic. Then I got down there, and the doctor examined me. He called for the ambulance right away to get me to the hospital. They started calling from 12:15 up to 1:30 something. No ambulance was available. They had to ask somebody in a private car to try and get me to the hospital. I couldn't walk. I reached to the hospital. They don't even have a wheelchair to put me in. Then they finally got a wheelchair to get me an entrance. I had to sit there for 4 hours before I see a doctor. Another 2 hours before I get into the x-ray room. And the x-ray machine wasn't working after she tried 8 times before she finally got an image. Then I had to go back to that doctor to be sent to another doctor to finally be tested and checked out. Now supposed to start physiotherapy tomorrow morning at 7:30. But, the things that were not in place, they're talking about building a new central bank and building a new Parliament House.
Sparky, I'm sorry to hear about all the things that happened, but were you listening to the show at all? Are you going to comment on what we were talking about?
You mean about the drug thing?
No.
I heard you talking about the drug one time.
Okay. Oh, dear Lord. Hope you get better, Sparky. Hope you get better. Okay, let's take a break. We'll pick this up on the other side. A lot more to talk about. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
The sea, island breeze is flowing. Your voice beckons me. Are you here with me? Or up there amongst the stars? I can see you in heaven, playing your guitar. You were so gifted, your brothers couldn't see. But my heart you lifted, your music set me free. With just a simple smile and the magic in your hands, shows us proof of God working through a man. But there you are sitting on a bench, like holding you look rich.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Got your first look at traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC. Start your home journey with an RBC mortgage today. We're expecting a lot heavier traffic on the streets as many schools reopen today. And we're seeing it right now. We're seeing it in Milo Butler Highway, back to being your hot spot this morning. Traffic backed up all the way from Fire Trail straight up to Tawny Quim's Darling Highway in the northbound lanes there, and traffic backed up along Fire Trail as well this morning. Westbound on Tawny Quim's Darling Highway is busy for you also. West to the roundabout with Milo Butler Highway. Even eastbound got a bit of building traffic there at this hour. Glass Road's looking like a much better alternate route for you, though, just until you get to Munnings Road. At that point, then you'll see some heavy traffic in front of you northbound. But traffic is backed up along JFK, along Lake Cunningham, and westbound to the roundabout with Glass Road and Bahamar Boulevard. Elsewhere, Blue Hill Road busy from Carmichael straight up to the roundabout with Independence Drive, especially north of Soldier Road. Even some building traffic right now near St. Vincent Road. Bamboo Boulevard, Zion Boulevard, and East Street. That intersection looking busy for you. And East Street between Soldier and the roundabout with Independence Drive and East-West Highway. That's busy. Old Trail, heavy traffic northbound from just north of Soldier Road straight up to Robinson Road, and Robinson is busy between Old Trail and Soldier for you. That's what we're seeing right now in your real-time traffic. Those are your hot spots. We'll have another update for you after the 8 o'clock news. That's your Morning Blend Traffic Alert brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with RBC today. And 7:45, time for another check of your weather. A lot going on weather-wise. You've got hazardous sea conditions. That's going to continue along Atlantic exposed coasts, emanating from major Hurricane Franklin now, or a Category 3. And that's turning well to the east of the Bahamas. So no threat to us, but again, just the hazardous sea conditions. We also have a weak pressure pattern that will remain over the area, keeping light to moderate breezes in the forecast. Meanwhile, moisture associated with Tropical Storm Idalia over the extreme southeastern Gulf of Mexico to the west of us. That's going to spread northeastwards, eventually igniting some unsettled weather over portions of the northwest Bahamas beginning tonight. Beachgoers are advised to not enter Atlantic-exposed beaches due to rough surf conditions, and boaters should stay in port due to building swells along Atlantic-exposed coastlines. We're expecting another hot day as well, so everyone's being advised to limit outdoor exposure and to remain hydrated, as we're expecting another day with triple-digit heat indices. For all areas today, forecast calls for mostly sunny and hot conditions with a few cloudy intervals and isolated showers or thunderstorms, becoming partly cloudy and warm with the onset of unsettled weather beginning over portions of the northwest Bahamas. Smallcraft advisories in effect due to swells, and mariners are urged to avoid venturing near Atlantic-exposed coastlines. Temperatures today getting up to around 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius, but the heat index will make you feel like it's 108 Fahrenheit, 42 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 79 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. In your extended outlook, due to the approaching full moon phase, spring tides will gradually increase water levels, especially during the morning high tides. And so keep that in mind if you're along the coastlines and living in that area, in those areas. Also, the center of strengthening tropical storm is to the west of the area and will likely produce some disturbed weather over the northwest Bahamas. So for tomorrow, Tuesday, partly sunny and hot with isolated showers over all areas at first, then gradually becoming cloudy across the northwest Bahamas with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Wednesday, cloudy and overcast and breezy to windy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, mainly over the northwest Bahamas, mostly sunny and hot with a chance of isolated showers elsewhere. We'll take a full look at the tropics coming up in our 8 o'clock weather check after the news. But this weather check brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Easy Car Sales invites you to take a test drive in an electric vehicle and experience why EV drivers will never go back to gas. Take a test drive and enter for your chance to win a tablet every week during the month of August. Drop into Easy Car Sales on Gladstone Road or visit easy242.com to find your EV and enter to win. Dump the pump, Bahamas, and drive electric.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home or even using your existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why at RBC we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
There's a new electric vehicle in town, the Jack brand of SUVs, trucks, sedans, and commercial vans, available only at Easy Car Sales, home of the fully electric vehicle. For a powerful, smooth ride at a fraction of the cost to drive, leave the pump behind and hit the road with Jack. Visit easy242.com to see our brand new Jack models and drop into Easy Car Sales for a test drive. It'll have you singing. Hit the road with Jack, and don't you pump gas no more.
We're gonna give you a check every week for a year. Island Game, keep you winning. Percy's pension plan. Dream big, we will help you live it. Percy's pension plan. Island Game, we got you. Percy's pension plan. From the friends you can trust. If winning is a must, come play the game you know, cause your best chance is with us. The most trustworthy name is Percy's Island Game. So put 20 on your account and ride this easy train at Percy's Island Game.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Wake up, it's a new day.
Summer your way with Scotiabank. Apply for a Scotia Plan loan this summer and open the doors to your dream destination, the perfect home renovation, or prep for back to school, and so much more. Enjoy competitive rates, flexible loan terms, and no payments for up to 2 months. Use your plan loan to unlock your perfect summer break. Apply for your Scotia Plan loan today and have summer your way with Scotiabank. Visit bs.scotiabank.com or call 242-356-1697 for further details.
Doctors Hospital has reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. We understand that your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new modern primary care facilities are where personalized treatment begins. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshosp.com.
Indulge in an experience that awakens your senses with Nescafe Gold. Premium Arabica coffee beans, carefully selected, roasted to perfection, and finely ground, resulting in a unique and unmatched flavor and aroma that captivates the senses. Enticing aroma, smooth taste. Elevate your coffee experience with Nescafe Gold.
As we continue to celebrate 50 years of independence, there is no better way to reflect on where we came from than to reconnect with the Family Islands. Visit BahamasResidence.com and take advantage of the 2 fly free from Nassau deal. Make your next trip to the Family Islands more affordable. If you're planning family beach days in Eleuthera, taking the plunge in Andrus's many blue holes, spoon fishing with the guys in Acklands, or Simpered Medicine, with the 2 fly free from Nassau promotion, there's no better time than now to visit the Family Islands. So explore the Exuma Keys, plan a retreat to Abaco, take the kids to historical San Salvador, escape to Long Island for a quick girls trip, lay low in Bimini, or enjoy a romantic trip to Bar Island. There is an island waiting just for you. Fly free from Nassau to your choice of 10 islands and 35 participating hotels. Book your trip today. Visit BahamasResidence.com for details and begin your Family Islands getaway.
Tired of paying too many bills and loan payments each month?
Shrink your monthly debt payments down to one easy payment with our debt consolidation loan.
It also has a built-in savings that pays you 5% interest.
Inquire about our debt consolidation loans today.
Call 356-7764.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. Don't lie on your resume. Because if you say you've got trapeze experience, someone might expect you to do a gymnast routine while flying through the air at 82 miles an hour. And just because you want to land on your feet doesn't mean you will. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Medical Insurance, so you get the best coverage for the price.
Get the best coverage for the price. CG Atlantic Medical and Life Insurance. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
So gifted, your brothers couldn't see, but my heart you lifted. Your music set me free with just a simple smile and the magic in your hands shows us proof of God working through a man. But there you are sitting on a bench.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be talking about a UB study on sexual abuse of women in heterosexual relationships and by intimate partners. We'll get into that in just a bit. All right, so we were talking about abortion before the break. Some interesting comments, some text messages coming in. And you can 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Laverne, this text here. Yeah, I do agree. We do need to stop this type of talk. This person says, I'm pretty sure that if there were a forum that was called to fix men and how their actions affect women, there isn't a woman in the world that wouldn't think they should be able to contribute to that panel. So to say that just because men don't menstruate, lactate, or gestate or anything, they shouldn't have an opinion on abortion is ridiculous. Yes, we should have a wider discussion, but everyone is entitled to their opinions and convictions. I agree with you on that, Texture, because people were telling us that if you're not married, you shouldn't have a discussion or opinion on marital rape, which is the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my entire life, which is insane. I've heard a lot of foolishness. But that one, wow. This texture says, it is the PLP that has a record number of women in cabinet. They came in with great fanfare. They're the ones whose silence is deafening. But the government highlighting these emotive issues so that we don't discuss them. There's silence. Okay. This person says here, condolences to the extended Kalina organization. Steve, in my opinion, became the thread of the organization, weaving his meticulous and structured financial and operational acumen through the fabric of the business. I worked with him for many years and truly respected his ethic and ability. With him, you just knew it would be accomplished on time and well. I've learned a great deal from him, having myself transitioned from finance to operations. We are at a loss today. May he rest in peace. Yeah, very well said. Very well said. This person says, Dwight, what Sparky was saying is hurtful. The healthcare system is in rubbish, but leaders are constantly talking about silly things. 7 hours to wait during an emergency, but they're talking about a new parliament building. The Bahamas is a legit failure. If I were our national basketball, swimming, track, and every sport team, I wouldn't even support this country's flag. Well, now you're being a little extreme now. Come on. Because it's leaders who don't give a blankety blank here about the people in this country. They should put pressure on these leaders to care for the country. Well, hey. Let's take this.
Can we do better? Yes. Are we a failed state? No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of work to do, though. And I do agree. Yeah, lots of talking about unnecessary things.
We do have a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. But to say that we're a failed state, no.
No, we don't have time. Squeeze. No, okay. Let's go to the news. We'll be back. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
To live the life of a pauper, don't think you had a choice. Skin blacker than the strings in which your rhythm swirled. Forgotten by a few, but loved by the world. What is success? Is it fortune or fame? Creating something special to ease another's pain. You didn't ask for money, but you showed me freedom, then took it to your grave. But there you are sitting on a bench, and like ice cold water, so you quench. Took away the pain, you soothed my mind. Play your music, Mr. Rhythm and Rhyme. But there you are sitting on a bench, and like hopefully walked up, but so you quenched. Took away the pain, you soothed my mind. With your music, Mr. Rhythm and Rhyme. Your passion for the music you never hid. Anyone could tell you enjoyed what you did. To hear your laughter, the magic in your hands shows the proof of God working through a man. But there you are sitting on the bench, and like only one time, but so you quenched. I took a line. Play your music, Mr. Rhythm and Rhyme. But there you are sitting on a bench, and like ice cold water, but so you quenched.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line, powered by BTC 4224796. Standard text rates apply. And now at 8:19, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. We've got a lot going on. We've got hazardous sea conditions that's persisting along Atlantic lines. This is all from Hurricane Franklin, which is now a major hurricane, Category 3 hurricane. But that is well to the east of the Bahamas, so not a direct threat to us, but again, the hazardous sea conditions being experienced on the eastern side of the country. We also have a weak pressure pattern that will remain over the area, keeping light to moderate breezes in the forecast, and moisture associated with Tropical Storm Idalia over the eastern, the extreme southeastern Gulf of Mexico. That's going to spread northeastwards, eventually bringing some unsettled weather to portions of the northwest Bahamas. That could begin as early as tonight. Beachgoers being advised not to enter Atlantic-exposed beaches due to dangerous rip currents and rough surf from Franklin, and mariners should remain near port due to building swells along Atlantic-exposed coasts. And everybody's being advised to remain hydrated and stay out of the sun. We're expecting another day of triple-digit heat indices. For today, forecast for all areas, mostly sunny and hot with a few cloudy intervals, with isolated showers of thunderstorms, becoming partly cloudy and warm tonight, with getting over portions of the northwest Bahamas. Again, small craft advisory in effect due to swells, and mariners are urged to avoid venturing near Atlantic-exposed coasts. Temperatures today, we're expecting highs near 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius, but the heat index will make it feel like it's 108 Fahrenheit, 42 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 79 Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius. In your extended outlook, due to the approaching full moon phase, spring tides will gradually increase water levels, especially during the morning high tides. Also, while the center of strengthening Tropical Storm Idalia remains to the west of the area, it will likely produce some disturbed weather over the northwest Bahamas. So, for tomorrow, Tuesday, partly sunny and hot with isolated showers over all areas at first, then gradually becoming cloudy across the northwest Bahamas with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Wednesday, cloudy to overcast and breezy to windy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms over the northwest Bahamas, mostly sunny and hot with a chance of isolated showers elsewhere. So we'll tell you about Franklin and Idalia in just a bit. We also have a tropical wave forecast to move off the west coast of Africa in a couple of days. The system has a low chance, about 40% chance for tropical cyclone formation through the next 7 days. Then there is Franklin, which has become the first major hurricane of the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season. As 5 o'clock Franklin was, again, this is moving away from the area and out into the Atlantic. Franklin is expected to continue moving toward the north-northwest near 8 miles per hour, and a gradual turn toward the north and northeast with a slightly faster forward speed is expected over the next few days. Maximum sustained winds have increased to near 115 miles per hour, making Franklin a Category 3 hurricane. Additional strengthening is forecast, but gradual weakening is expected to begin by Tuesday afternoon. No threat to the Bahamas. Then there's Tropical Storm Idalia. That now is approaching Cuba. As of 5 o'clock, Idalia was just about 125 miles south of the western tip of Cuba. Idalia is moving toward the north near 7 miles per hour. With a continued northward motion on the forecast track, Idalia is expected to increase in forward speed and turn north-northeast over the eastern Gulf of Mexico by tomorrow and reach the Gulf Coast of Florida by Wednesday. Maximum sustained winds have increased to near 65 miles per hour. Idalia is expected to become a hurricane later today and a dangerous major hurricane over the northeastern Gulf of Mexico by early Wednesday, when it makes landfall in Florida. No threat to the Bahamas, but we may experience some weather conditions associated with it in the northwest Bahamas. That is your Morning Blend weather check, brought to you by Bahamas First. Visit .com and select a Bahamas First agent to purchase, pay, or renew your car or home insurance 100% online, or just stop by any Bahamas First agent. Bahamas First, celebrating 40 years, is the first Bahamian general insurance company. What's first for you comes first for us. And time for another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. Start your home journey with an RBC mortgage today. Things are busy on the streets. Schools are open, and we're seeing heavy traffic. Mile Butler Highway from Fire Trail straight up to Tonic-Williams-Darling Highway this morning in the northbound lanes. Tonic-Williams-Darling Highway backed up a bit as well, westbound, and also eastbound to the roundabout with Bahamas Games Boulevard. 6-Agate roundabout, we're seeing heavy traffic on JFK Drive eastbound toward the roundabout. Busy northbound as well. We've got Blue Hill Road near St. Vincent Road. Heavy traffic there, and especially north of Soldier Road on the way to Independence Drive. Heavy westbound traffic on Independence Drive this morning. Then there's Old Trail. Old Trail not looking good for you northbound this morning from Soldier straight up to Robinson Road. Robinson is busy between Soldier and straight up to East-West Highway and Marathon Road. Bernard Road, number of schools in the area there. We're seeing westbound traffic there as well. So here we are. We're back to this pattern, folks, and we're going to have some interesting mornings over the next few months. Well, that is your Morning Blend traffic, brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with RBC today.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. The song is Gotta Give It Up. And and that is the title of a study, UB study. In the Bahamas, she must give it up. Sexual abuse of women in heterosexual relationships by intimate partners. Here to tell us about this. Very pleased to welcome back to the show Dr. Nambi Hall Campbell-Dean and William Fielding. Always a pleasure. Great to have you with us.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Bahamas.
All right, so this has had an interesting journey. There was a study last year, and then this has happened as well. So let us know how this began, and then we'll talk about the findings.
Okay, all right. So last year we released, if you like, the headline findings from this study, and we've been working on it ever since. So over the period of the year, as you probably know, these things take quite a long time. Gestation, dealing with the referees and getting expert opinion to help. So what we've tried to do in the paper that will be coming out in October is to look at sexual abuse, marital rape, in the context of obviously the Bahamas, looking at males, looking at females who are married and also those who are in single relationships, to compare and contrast them, but also to look at the psychological aspect of interpersonal violence as well, because when we're talking about so-called marital rape or even rape within single relationships, is more than just that singular event, and I think we see it in isolation rather than seeing the appreciating that it's connected to a wider ambit of undesirable consequences. And so what we've been doing over the past 12 months is to expand upon that. So it's the same set of data that we looked at from last year, but we've tried to look at it in a slightly wider format, looking at the rest of the data that we collected from that study. So in that study, we had about 2,800 people who entered the survey. Obviously, we were only interested in women who were aged over 18 for ethical reasons, living in the Bahamas, and more importantly, we focused on women who were currently having a relationship. So this, because as you know, relationships are dynamic. We have a relationship, we might fall out with that person, we may have a period of time where we're in no relationship with anyone, and then we start another one. So this related to people who were actively in a current relationship. So the information related to what was happening to them today, if you like, when they completed the survey form. So we had about 460 women who were married, and we had about 1,200 females who were either single or engaged, and so we called those single. So we had quite a large number of observations to deal with, and so this enabled us to tease out some information which we'd hope would feed into the debate regarding marital rape, because as we've been told by various government officials, there are no official statistics on marital rape,
Right.
and that's understandable because it's officially marital rape doesn't exist.
Right. I think I might need you to say that again. We just got a text about that. People don't seem to understand this concept. But if you could say that again, very slowly for people to understand.
So from the official standpoint, from the legal standpoint, marital rape does not exist. So when we're talking about marital rape or rape within marriage, that is something that society understands, but a lawyer will get up and says, no, that cannot happen because it's excluded under the current domestic violence bill. It specifically says that rape cannot occur between spouses, and it's excluded emphatically in
So
that.
this will not be in a crime report that the police give. There will be no numbers for this.
Correct,
Officially.
because it doesn't exist, and we've been reminded by that about that from several ministers, and they're quite correct. There are no official statistics because officially the act doesn't occur.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to get that straight because we've been talking about this for decades. It feels like, but people are still not understanding that. But please, William Fielding, continue.
All right, thank you. The key things that people might like to take home, obviously we're talking about something which is very intimate, and people may have hesitancy in admitting that they have been sexually abused, let alone that they feel that they have been raped by their partner, whether they're single or married. So we had a series of related questions which, if you like, got, if you like, more difficult. So we had a question about had you been subjected to non-consensual sex, which in effect is also rape, because that's the difference between, that's one of the defining attributes of rape and sexual intercourse is their consent. And then we had another one about sexual abuse, and then we had a harder question about would they actually admit to having been raped? And so in each of these cases, classifications, except for the question regarding rape, which is the most difficult one, and therefore the one that people might want to hide most, if you like, and this is common from the literature that we've read on the subject, there was a difference between the married women and the single women, with the married women, a higher percentage of the married women admitting that they had been subjected to non-consensual sex rather than the single women. So indicating that married women are more at risk of having sex against their will than single women. And this, of course, is the group of women who are currently not protected by the law. And this amounts to quite a substantial number of people. If we use the data from the previous census, it works out to be something like approaching probably 50,000 women who are not protected by the current law. So we're not talking about a small group of people who the law, if you like, abandoned interpretation of the Sexual Offences Act.
Wow. Okay. There are people already this morning got a text of somebody trying to suggest there might be a difference between non-consensual sex and rape. That it implies, I guess, that it's less brutal or violent. What do you say to people who are saying, well, this doesn't mean what you all are trying to suggest here?
I would say I don't know how they're trying to define non-consensual, how they're trying to think of non-consensual sex and rape. Rape, as I've come to understand, is sex without consent. And so non-consensual sex and rape are therefore synonyms. I think that we just need to be honest with what is actually happening. We have the data, and this is what women are reporting is happening to them. So regardless of how people in their own context, we have women saying that they are experiencing non-consensual sex within their marriages.
So do you think these numbers are big? Do you think that is part of the reason there's so much resistance? Because a lot of people could find themselves in some hot legal water if we do adjust the laws when it comes to rape and marriage.
Well, I think that we would need to appreciate what might trigger a if you like, a legal case, because the literature tells us that women are only going, well, not only, but typically these cases arise when the partnership has already started to crumble, if you like. So something is inherently wrong when someone feels that they have been raped by their partner. So this is, if you like, looking at almost like the tail end of a relationship. Something is going wrong when someone feels that they've been, particularly if they feel that they've been raped by the person. In terms of numbers being large or not, the numbers seem to fit in with what happens in other countries, and we're currently doing a subsequent study where we're trying to put together the various estimates of interpersonal violence in the Bahamas, and there does seem to be a consistency in the figures. When we're looking at domestic violence, there are figures between sort of 20% and some cases going up to closer to 50%. Which is not out of line with what happens in other countries. But what I think is the issue that people are concerned with is that we've got a large number of women who are simply abandoned by the law. So some people say, well, if you were to criminalize rape within marriage, that would be dissuade people from getting married. We, in fact, came across a study, but it was really an interview that was done of some COB students from the 1980s. And that group of students actually listed their concern about being raped within marriage as being a reason for not getting married. Because, of course, that they would, they felt that they could be taken advantage of. So there is a long-standing threat, if you like, or concern by women that marriage doesn't protect them from something that they don't want. So the argument, I think, that this would make marriage less likely. You could argue, the opposite. That if I myself as a single person, I'm protected by the law, why should I get married and lose that protection?
Yeah. Wow. All right. So the
Hi, can you hear me? I have a question.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, good morning,
Yeah.
Laverne.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Did you find when you were conducting the research that maybe there was I don't know, but just this thought came to mind that even when you were conducting the research, speaking with married women, that there was a reluctance for them to even admit that they'd experienced marital rape simply because of maybe their beliefs and upbringing that I'm not supposed to deny my husband. So I don't want to qualify this as rape, even though it was against my will or he didn't have my consent.
Yes, well, this was that was done over the internet, so there was no there was no interaction as such. But we see this in the data itself because we've got, for example, we've got nearly 14% of married women saying that they were subject to non-consensual sex, but we've only got 8% of them who are admitting that they have been raped. But legally, that 13 or 14% of women have been legally raped, even if they didn't feel as if they have been raped. So I think that answers your question. We can see that reluctance in the data that we collected.
Yeah. I think to go back to the first question that you asked me about non-consensual sex and rape, I think this also speaks to that we do need to have more conversations about what consent looks like,
Right.
And being able to say, this is a yes, this is no. How might people find or blurred? There was a song about it, blurred lines. And so how do we define those in marriage? Are those lines as clearly defined? So I think conversations around consent and who is able to give consent, when consent is required. How consent can be given. All of those things are things that we need to have conversations about and actually need to be taught, because the communication might not always be clear, which can lead to some detrimental ramifications.
Yeah. All right. So this comes up all the time, adjustments in our laws as it relates to divorce. What are your views on that? If while you're in a marriage, you can't say that you were raped, but if you're separated, you can. If you're divorced, you can. What should we be thinking about in terms of that?
Well, I think that this is also kind of speaks to what William is saying about factors that would lead people to not want to get married, right? And that you have more protections outside of marriage than within. And so I think that this is another factor when we think about, a lot of times this conversation is held around the sanctity of marriage. But if we're really talking about the sanctity or concerned about the sanctity of marriage, then we would want to do things that protect people in marriage and not incentivize them to get divorces, right? Or to be separated so that they can feel that there is some protection for them under the law.
This question here, there's a text. You can text us as well, folks, 422-4796, and call in. This person says here, considering that the study was an online study, how were you verifying that these are actually married, the ones who said they were married?
Well, we obviously have to take their answers on trust, because we didn't sort of knock on their doors to check afterwards. All these studies obviously assume that people are going to be honest, and we do put in the checks and balances. We do ask them that they are living in the Bahamas, that they are of the correct age. People often say, one of the criticisms of any study is that people lie. But what people don't necessarily appreciate is that you would be talking about a conspiracy of thousands of people. And of course, that's not going to happen. And what's very interesting when you do these studies is that typically after there's 60 or 70 responses, the actual answers or the actual interpretation that I would put on the data after those 60 or 70 responses is going to be the same when I've had 700 or 1,400 responses. It's remarkable how resilient the data is to giving their responses. It's which is an indication that you're not getting a sort of a massive swing of people telling lies or whatever. Right. So it's a consistency which you build up as the data set is put together.
Yeah.
There's also no incentives for the participants in the study, so there would be not necessarily a motivation for them to lie about that one way or the other.
And because it's online, we've no idea who these people are, and that gives I think it gives them sort of some reassurance that they can be honest, because there's going to be no way that we would track them down.
Right. We're talking with Dr. Nyambi Hall Campbell-Dean and William Fielding with the University of the Bahamas. Let's hear what you have to say. You can call in as well, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Or toll free, 242-300-5720. Caller, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning to you and your guests. The problem in the Bahamas sometimes is every time you're trying to do something with progress, there's always resistance, no matter what it is. And there used to be a time when the police didn't take domestic. Women went to the police station they were told, oh, we don't get in domestic matters. And not until after, one or two women probably were killed or, were seriously injured, then they start taking it seriously. So I just think that there's a deep-rooted mentality in many men and some women that, once you become married, your possession or whatever, their property, and they're not supposed to say no. But no one loses the right over their own body to say yes or no, even if they're married. So you have to keep pressing on, and eventually the law will change, no matter what no pastors say, politicians say. And I think a part of it too is self-preservation. A lot of these men who are against marital rape, I think one day they feel the law will be used against them. And that's part of the problem too, self-preservation. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
Lots of questions about how the methodology, how did people know about this study? How do they know to take part in the study? How were they approached, I guess?
All right, so this is part of a class exercise that we do. So the students will students these days are well connected, as you know. They have enormous numbers of contacts, and so they post the link to their contacts, and then the important part of this is that those people who complete the survey, they are also asked to forward it to their contacts, so that we get this snowball effect. So the number of students in my class that term was probably about 25 students, and as I say, we got answers back from over 3,000 people. So they did very well in pushing out the survey to a large number of people.
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello.
Yes. Good morning.
Yes. I'm just calling about the show. Am I on?
Yes, you're on the air live. Yes.
Okay, good. Yes. I have a question. I heard earlier the gentleman spoke of a survey where they had about, I think, something married women and over 1,200 single women.
No, those aren't the right numbers. He'll give the numbers again.
No, we had 464 married women.
And 1,200 odd single women.
Yes, about that, yes.
Yeah, my question to you is, if the question is really about marital rape, why didn't you have 1,200 odd married women as opposed to single women if we're talking about marital rape?
Well, we wanted to put the experiences of women who had been married in the context of the experiences of women who were unmarried in order to provide us with a frame of reference. No, but the topic
was marital rape. Why didn't we have over 1,200 married women?
Because we didn't have 1,200 married women respond.
Pardon?
We simply didn't have 1,200 married women respond. We had to use the data that was given as a part of the survey, and so those were the numbers that we had in the survey.
And it might be helpful to explain how samples work and why it didn't necessarily need to be that gigantic a number, but just so folks understand how this is typical study.
Well, if in the general population of females aged over 15, there are, of course, more single women than married women, so you would automatically expect there to be fewer married respondents anyway. And so, in point of fact, from a statistical viewpoint, if this was regarded as a random sample, we would probably only need about 300, 350 respondents in the group. Oh, wow. So we got more than, if you like, would be statistically required to get a reasonable answer. I mean, if we got 460, 500 would have been plenty. So we got pretty much the number that from a statistic would require. On the single side, obviously, we got a large number of people. The advantage of getting more responses, of course, is that we can drill down further, a little deeper into the data, and look at, if you like, smaller subsets, and still have a reasonable number of observations, rather than just limiting ourselves to, if you like, global statements which might hide important differences within those subsets.
Right. Okay, let's take this call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Dwight, morning to you and to your guest.
Hi.
Good morning.
I have a couple questions. One, I do, as the gentleman said before, I do have a problem with singles being included because it seems to skew. I'm not asking for a comment yet because I know it's a short time. You could comment afterwards, please. Secondly, what the most important question for me is, where do you expect it to lead if me and my wife are married and she alleges, let's say she does, that I have raped her and she takes me to court? What are y'all expecting to come after that? Because obviously you're not expecting that marriage to be anything. You expect that to be dissolved after that complaint is made. So I'm asking if your emphasis is to get this legislation, you're obviously expecting, you have to expect that it's very unlikely that marriage would be anything after that. After a serious allegation, she takes her husband to court saying that he raped her. So that is a question I really would like these same persons who have been doing this for years, Naomi Campbell, Dr. Campbell, and the gentleman there, to please answer where do you expect that to go and the children who are involved. Please tell me.
Okay, so the first question was about why the single people were included in the survey. And so this was a random sample. And so based just off of the population of women in the Bahamas, we're going to have married women and unmarried women. And so the sample does include both of those people. And as I stated earlier, we wanted to look at the issue within the context or using single women as a, not as a buffer, but as the benchmark of how rape is happening within these relationships. And then to the second point about what do we expect to happen in the marriage, as a married woman, I would argue that the marriage is already over if the wife is alleging rape, whether she takes you to court or not. So that this study really is not about dissolving marriages, but it's about providing the research available for policymakers to make decisions around marital rape, because there have been statements that there is no research available. And so we wanted to simply provide the research for those decisions to be made and for this policy legislation to be moved through.
I think, Dr. Brown, if I could just chime in too. What you just said, it's important for our listeners to remember that this is done in an academic environment. I don't believe that I was speaking on your behalf because both of you can articulate yourselves well. But I just really want to make the point that this isn't an agenda being pushed, as this is something that's happening in our society. We do not have research. And so what we have is educators now providing that research, that information, so that we do have something to look at when we have these discussions. That we do now have data that we can refer to, whether we are for, against, don't see it as an issue or not, but we're not just talking off of feelings.
Absolutely.
We actually have data to say this is what is happening. And so it's important for us to bear that in mind while we're having this discussion this morning, that this was done academically. Now, you may see with subterfuge if that's what you want to see, but this was an academic thing that took place, and these are the results.
Yeah. Now, the study, we're going to find out more in October. I think that's what you're saying, right? But it is not saying that the majority of the married women were experiencing sexual violence or
no,
right?
No,
not the majority.
No, certainly not. I mean, what we're looking for, what we were able to demonstrate is that there are connections. So, for example, people who are subjected to unwanted sex, they're going to be suffering higher levels of psychological abuse, and that becomes important because the literature shows us that people who are psychologically abused find it more difficult to try and exit these relationships. And so it becomes a sort of a vicious circle. Nyambi would know more about that than I do, but looking at the psychological aspects as well. And if you remember, a year or so ago, one of our colleagues, Dr. Williams, she looked at the mental health issues of people on unwanted sex. So there's a package of harm that is visited upon the female in addition to the physical act of, or goes alongside the physical act of having unwanted sex. So I think it's important for us to see this holistically, because it's very easy to see rape as a one-off occurrence, as if there's nothing happens beyond that, and that clearly is not the case. And so, with the damage that it does to the female is enduring, and this is, I think, should be of great concern to everybody. Yeah. And if, given the place of women in the household and in society, that has to be a concern, I think, of everybody.
Mm-hmm. Can you say what the numbers were, percentage-wise, of the married women who said they had to they experienced non-consensual sex?
Yes. So the percentage of married women who had was about 14%, 13.8%.
Okay.
So it's that's quite a that's if we had 10 people in the room, one female who probably had suffered that.
Right.
Versus 6.3% of single women who reported the same.
Okay. Well, that's very, very significant there. All right, let's take this call, then we need to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Are you there? Yes. Good morning. Turn on your radio for us, please.
Okay. That's me. Godly, this is Strachan Weiss, along with you and your panel, Dwight. Tell me something, Dwight, or your panel. Why is it that now I have daughters, granddaughter, great-granddaughter. Why is it that you are not encouraging women not to get married instead of messing up a man's life? Because if you're going to get married, you should know sex is the part of the equation. So my point is, why is it that you all are not encouraging women not to get married instead of causing a man's life to be messed up? Thank you.
So as researchers, I would say that, well, first of all, this study is not about marriage or encouraging or discouraging people for or against marriage. The research that we did was particularly about what happens within the confines of marriage. And so how people read that and how it persuades them to or for against marriage isn't really the goal of the research.
Right. Oh boy. Okay. Well said. Good morning, caller. You're on there.
Hello, Dwight.
Hi.
Good morning. Good morning to you guest, Poppy. You know, no one's saying, but we should salute the students and the teacher for doing this study, this research, because this is something what a lot of people don't talk about. And if you think about it, it's a fact that has happened. Now, what the Bible say is another thing. I understand these people, them standing up, but what I would like for the teacher or the students to do is like things like what we don't like to talk about. You see the 11-year-old, what happened the other day, what was reported on the news, and something what we call incest here in the Bahamas. This is something what people don't like to talk about, because sometimes, like your daddy and you feel that's a touchy situation. It's because of shame parents and family members allow these young children to either be molested or raped as a child. I know we should care about the marriage and care about the big female, them, the women, them who going through whatever they're going through, but the children, them, I feel like they're suffering, and if we could do it, it'll be good if you guys don't mind. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay. Something to consider. All right, so we're getting quite a few of these type text messages here asking about the men. What's happening with the men? In that same study, couldn't they have found out if men were abused in those same relationships? Or if there are if there was abuse by the woman too. In all honesty, how is it that the studies of the university are always about women? I am, in fairness, why are men never surveyed? I'm sure that is not the case, but how do you respond to that?
I would respond by saying check us back in October, and you can read more about it then.
Okay, all right. So I guess you'll be coming back. But yeah, it keeps coming back. What about the men? Why not talk to the men? What about men in this?
Yeah, we have done a study looking at the abuse of men by their female partners, and that will be published in October.
Oh boy,
that's an interesting one as well.
Oh really? Let's take this call. Yeah. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Dwight.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning, Laverne, and good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
Morning.
Listen, for Bremen, it's not about talking to women and trying to get them to remember what the Word of God said. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. So if you love your wife as Christ loved the church, then you won't have to rape your wife. We all know sex is involved in marriage. Rape is not. That's the difference, Mr. Bremen. That's the difference. Rape is not allowed anywhere. So if you're getting married just for sex, I suggest you don't get married. But if you're getting married to love someone, then yes, go ahead. You understand me? I think a lot of people have it wrong, and they always bringing up men. I didn't remember nobody saying women being raped. I thought it just say rape in marriage. Am I wrong?
This particular study did look at was looking at women.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're looking at women, but they are also saying rape in marriage, which means it goes both ways. Because I remember hearing persons say it's both ways for men and women. Yes, they're talking about women more. Just like you have murders. You have more men being murdered than women. Mm-hmm. You have more men killing than women. So obviously women would probably be the top of this because you have more men raping women than women raping men. But it is out there. No one is disputing that. What he says, and it covers for both men and women. That's how I feel.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. This is an unusual text here. This person says here, what was race factored into it? The race, they're saying race is a factor. I don't know why or how it would be, but was that...
No, we didn't look at if you look at the composition of the Bahamas, it's predominantly if you like a black population, African extraction. So we don't typically worry about that. Look at that because you're looking at you would get very limited data from people who are non-Bahamian, and so it doesn't really make sense. Those sort of issues are considered more in larger countries such as America and elsewhere, but we didn't look at that because the Bahamas ethnically is a fairly homogeneous group of people.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're running out of time. So again, one more time, what happens next after this? What will we see in October, and what are you hoping comes out of the information that we have from the study?
Well, during Open Access Week, which is the 23rd to 29th of October, the University of Bahamas will be issuing Volume 29 of the International Journal of Bahamian Studies. This will comprise primarily social science papers. And then in November, there will be a second edition of the journal, which will be looking at natural science papers, because we've got quite a large number of papers, I understand, from the editor. So there will be 2 volumes coming out. So certainly in October, I don't know the content of the journal coming out in October, but I know that's on social science issues. And for those people who were asking about what happens to the males, there would be some attempt to answer that question then.
Okay. All right. And if folks are interested in being part of studies, can they volunteer? Does it work like that, or do you need to be a little more random?
Well, what I would say is that if you get an invitation from one of the students to participate, please participate. And then after you've participated, please forward the invitation that's attached to everybody in your contact group. so that we can get it out to the widest possible number of people. Because we will be doing an additional survey this semester with some more students. So we depend upon the cooperation of the public to make these surveys a success. So please help us. And we're very grateful for everybody who has participated in the past.
And if folks want to read more about this study, is there someplace to get some more information?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Yes, they can go to the University of Bahamas website, and if they look under research on the tab there, the International Journal of Bahamian Studies, or they can just Google International Journal of Bahamian Studies, and it will pop up.
Okay, all right. Thank you so
much.
Free
of charge.
Yes. And Dwight,
stuff.
if I can, before we go, say just again that the purpose of this research and a lot of the research that comes out of the University of the Bahamas is so that our policymakers do have the ability now to make decisions based off of data, which is very important, and not just emotions or the opinions of various members of society. So we want to make sure that we do that. Yeah. And because, I always talk about reparations while I'm here, if I could just mention that on Wednesday, the Bahamas National Reparations Committee is hosting a open mic in collaboration with New Soul at 6:30 p.m. at ICE Bahamas, that's BAIC, on Soldier Road. And then Thursday is the International Day for People of African Descent, the United Nations International Day for People of African Descent. And the Bahamas National Reparations Committee will be hosting a panel answering the question, what are reparations anyway, at the National Art Gallery at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So we hope that people will come out.
Wonderful stuff. All right, Dr. Nambi Hall-Campbell-Dean and William Fielding, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll talk again in October. Everyone's going to be waiting to hear that, I'm sure. But thank you. Thank you for being here this morning.
Much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thanks, Laverne.
All right, we're going to take a break.
Always good to hear from you.
We'll be back after the news.
There's a new electric vehicle in town, the Jack brand of SUVs, trucks, sedans, and commercial vans, available only at Easy Car Sales, home of the fully electric vehicle. For a powerful, smooth ride at a fraction of the cost to drive, leave the pump behind and hit the road with Jack. Visit easy242.com to see our brand new Jack models and drop into Easy Car Sales for a test drive. It'll have you singing. Hit the road with Jack, and don't you pump gas no more. It's been 35 years since Custom Computers was founded, and we'd like to celebrate that milestone by thanking you, our clients and customers. You've inspired 35 years of expert service and support, partnering with the world's leading brands like HP, Apple, and Microsoft. We take pride in setting the bar for what you expect and deserve from a homegrown Bahamian business. We're here to serve you when you need us, so call 396-1101. Custom Computers, raising the standard since 1987.
Indulge in an experience that awakens your senses with Nescafe Gold. Premium Arabica coffee beans, carefully selected, roasted to perfection, and finely ground, resulting in a unique and unmatched that captivates the senses. Enticing aroma, smooth taste, elevate your coffee experience with Nescafe Gold.
Grab your camera, capture the spirit of the Bahamas, and win cash and prizes. Scotiabank, in partnership with the Guardian Media Group, invites all youth, amateur, and professional photographers to enter the Celebrate Bahamas 50 photography competition, being held under the theme One Nation, One Legacy, Our Future. With more than $8,000 in cash to be won, snap those photos and send them in by August 30th. Visit GuardianTalkRadio.com or bs.scotiabank.com to find out how to enter. Let's celebrate our proud nation in photos. Terms and conditions apply.
Wherever you are in the world, Cleveland Clinic's world-class care is here for you. From Ohio to Florida to London, Cleveland Clinic treats thousands of patients every year. Ranked number 2 in the world by Newsweek, you can trust our caregivers to enhance your experience across each step of your treatment journey. For every care in the world, learn more at clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
This
is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Monday, August 28th, 2023. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. And
You know what?
This morning we're going to be talking about what going digital is all about. Here to talk about this and to tell us about a very exciting essay competition which is underway. We're very pleased to welcome from Plato Alpha. We have Duran Humes. Good morning to have you with us in studio.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi, you've been with us before, but that wasn't in studio, so it's great to have you with us. Welcome to the show. All right, so before we get into it, tell us about Plato Alpha one more time for those who aren't familiar with the company.
So Plato Alpha is a fully Bahamian custom software development company, right? We're based right here in Nassau, the Bahamas. We've been at it for a few years now. We've done work for many companies, but primarily our main thing is digital transformation. That's what we primarily work on, helping businesses to drive revenue and decrease costs using technology and AI to help them with that.
All right, so those are some key words. People have been getting very worked up and excited about all of that. How are we doing in the Bahamas so far with all of this? You know, there's a couple companies who are talking about utilizing AI more, but in terms of most companies, are they like me, a little afraid of AI?
Definitely, there is some fear and kind of wanting to not change, really. But overall, I believe we are advancing very rapidly, actually, especially compared to the other nations within the region. We are very advanced in terms of our banking sector as well as our technology and the way that we do things here.
Yeah,
we're getting there.
Yeah. All right. So why why an essay competition about this? What was the impetus for this?
Well, primarily literacy, right? And giving persons an opportunity to pretty much write out their thoughts on what they think digital transformation means to them, right? Because we want to really understand and want to really get students, junior high, senior high students, to really understand what digital transformation is and how is it going to impact them in the future, right? If they get the opportunity to write out their thoughts, to really think it through, then they can see how best they can apply it to their daily lives. Because instead of just using the technology that was built by somebody else, you could look at a way to probably build it for yourself and build something that you could then utilize to help the country.
Yeah. Do you think they might get it more than some older people?
In some ways, yes. In some ways.
Yeah. All right, so without giving people ideas, we'll get into the rules of the competition in a bit. But let's talk about it. What going digital means and what it should mean and what it could mean and the potential there is for all of us as we continue down this digital transformation path.
Well, going digital essentially means that you're not necessarily doing a whole lot of manual work. You're now automating a lot of your tasks, right? That automation portion of it makes your life a bit easier, enhances the quality of life. Like right now, we have things set up to where our producer can just walk out the room and everything still runs as expected, right? So that's a beautiful thing.
Don't tell people that's just what happened. But yes, exactly.
That's a beautiful thing about technology and software. It's just going to keep advancing at a rapid pace. You see persons all around the world starting to get into a whole lot of very, very, I would say, scary things in a way. You know, when you see Terminator and things like that.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
You kind of don't want to go that far, but just to the edge of it.
Yeah. But I think the fear is that you might be replaced. Like they won't need me anymore. And what am I going to do in that new world?
Well, in that new world, you have the opportunity to upskill, right? That's another beautiful thing about the technology. There are platforms out there where you can pick up new skills fairly easily and for fairly cheap. You don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a university education, although that is good. You can always go online, learn a course, pick up a skill, and self-learn, right? If you are dedicated enough to actually do that, you can do it.
Yeah. Oh, so that's a very interesting point. So, I mean, what should you be doing? I mean, once you finish high school, things are changing so rapidly. You invest all this money, and then this degree is obsolete almost because you've been replaced by technology and an AI, and then you have to do a course again. Or should you just be paying attention to the markets and just seeing what's happening in the world, and then, okay, well, I'll do this now, and then a few years from now, I'll do something else? Which one should you do?
Well, that's a very broad question. That's a very broad question because it really depends on that person's circumstances, right? And it depends on, have you already figured out exactly what you want to do? That's the most important thing. That's what college helps to provide that particular individual. You can go to college for a few years to really figure out what exactly it is that you want to do, if you don't already know that. You pick up a certain degree and you just go ahead and you rock with that. You know, but there are alternatives to where you can learn a skill, jump straight into the workforce, and if you're really dedicated, you can actually make things happen.
Yeah. Wow. Laverne, what are you thinking? I know we've had quite a few discussions on all of this. We've got some people still afraid of using an ATM even. So
yes.
How do we go from
is
that to what this future really is going to hold?
Well, for me, Dwight, the digital era, especially with banking, I fully embrace. I fully embrace that. And it's just the way of the world. You don't have to be. I guess there is a fair, and maybe it's warranted in some instances. But for me, I find all of these new ideas and new processes to be quite interesting and in some ways exciting. I I'm wondering though if our guests can, when you're talking about embracing, that kind of digital life for a business, for a small business, what does that look like for them in terms of, like you say, decreasing costs or maybe even improving or increasing revenue? Can you give like some examples? Because sometimes, you don't really understand it, how it could work for you. So because you don't understand it, you shy away from it.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess you could say one very relatable example would be when it comes to accepting payments, right? You could choose to only accept cash. Now, when you accept cash, you have that liability, is that you have this cash, you have persons that may steal it from you. You have now the burden of having to take it to the bank and having to make the deposit, which from what I'm seeing, they are making it a bit more difficult to actually do that, to actually make cash deposits. But when you have something like, let's say, a merchant terminal, or if you don't want to go through the whole bank process, you could just go to one of those mobile wallet providers, and they can allow you to process payments on your own behalf, right? So that's now having a burden. You now have a means to actually accept digital payments, credit, debit cards, persons sending you wires, whatever it may be, instead of accepting that cash up front and having that burden of actually doing that.
Yeah. You noticing the change, though? I mean, people
Yes.
just seem to be so stuck.
They seem to be stuck.
I think we need to do research. We need to do research not only on the convenience and not having the burden of, handling cash, making those deposits that way, but how much business you could potentially lose because you do not accept cards. Very real incident that just happened. My sister and I, we went out and we went to the $2 plus store because, with inflation and that is just no longer $2. So it's $2 and plus, but that's an aside. Anyway, went in there and I'm picking up some stuff because I wanted to do this DIY project. And I get to the counter. Well, first of all, in the middle of the store, I stopped and I said, "Oh my God, is this a cash only place?" And then my sister was like, "No, they do accept cards." Okay, great. Get there. give the card, and she says the machine is down. Can I tell you, between my sister and I, how we scrapping that?
Mm-hmm.
Literally, to put together, this is no lie, $12.65, because I'm really not a cash carrier. So I had to get 65 cents for my sister. The cashier was like, I think I have 65 cents.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Very real. Just happened Saturday. So that's why I'm saying, it'd be interesting because really what happens in instances like that, for me, I just say everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quite often.
I think it would be interesting if, businesses maybe had data to show would you lose when you just only accept cash. I'm not saying to just only accept cards. I'm saying both.
Yeah, and we're hearing a lot of debate about that now.
Who don't carry cash. I typically,
Right. So how can we really get digital when you're still having those discussions? People very angry about cashless places and people very angry about places that don't accept cards, right? We've still got all of it going on. How are we going to find the balance here?
Well, cash is still legal tender, and hopefully it stays that way for the rest of eternity, right? I'm not a proponent of a totally cashless society because, to my perspective, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But getting to where we are more accepting of, let's say, digital payments, credit cards, debit cards, mobile wallets, whatever it is, that really takes a concerted effort on our regulators to make that whole process of getting those accounts up and running a lot easier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So once we're on that level to where things are a lot easier to get your e-commerce account set up and all those good things,
right,
then more persons will adopt it because it's not as much friction as it is currently.
Yeah. Yeah, remove all the restrictions, right? So
no.
Well, I mean, if you want to pay with cash, or if you want to pay with a card, or whatever it is, you have all the options.
Right. Remove all the restrictions on the end consumer, not necessarily the merchant.
No.
These restrictions.
Right. Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. So
and then there's also that fair, Dwight. There are still people, and we have these discussions who's fearful of their information stolen or, some sort of fraud taking place because now they're doing so many things digitally. It's a legitimate concern. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I know people who have a fear of ordering online. Like they don't want to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I 1,000% agree with that. I mean, you see, because you're not 100% sure exactly how persons handle your data, right? And you're not even sure if the merchant that you're swiping your card with, how do they handle their machines? How do you know that they don't have a card skimmer on there that as soon as you swipe, that just takes your card data and sends it to somebody? You don't know that. So there's a risk, but there are ways that you can kind of mitigate against that risk. But that then makes you a more sophisticated kind of financial person, which you should be moving towards in any event.
Yep, and you could get robbed coming from a bank as well with your cash or from the ATM getting robbed. So you could lose your money in many ways. You just have to be more vigilant. All right, so this texter here is asking, what now? Digital fraud is huge. I've had 3 credit cards compromised this year, which is a huge inconvenience. Yeah, I guess. So there are a lot of there are pros and cons with going digital, right?
Right.
But it is clearly the way we're heading.
Right.
And you have to embrace it, but be smart about it.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. All right. Talk about the essay competition. Who can enter?
So this essay competition is open to both junior high school students and senior high school students all around the Bahamas.
All right. So there are different rules for junior high versus senior high. What can you tell us about that?
So for senior high, your word count has to be at least 1,500, whereas for junior high, your word count has to be at least 1,000. And just to let you know, the prizes are 2 Apple iPads for the persons that do win the essay competition.
Excellent.
And the judging won't be done by us. It'll be done by school teachers from around the Bahamas as well.
Excellent. So anybody throughout the country in junior high or senior high can enter?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so what are the deadlines we're looking at? You're launching this officially today,
yes,
right now, and this goes on until
September 22nd, 2023.
All right, so just a little under a month they have to get this in. So how do people get their essays in? What do they need to do?
What you need to do is actually go ahead and email us, alpha@platoalpha.com, with your essay, your name, your school, your grade, as well as the parents' contact info, so that then you'll be entered. And you can find all this info on our social media. You can find us on all of the platforms at Plato Alpha, and you'll be able to see more information about it.
Okay, wonderful stuff. And you're partnering with us at Guardian Radio, so we are happy to be a part of this, and you're going to have the winners on.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely.
After September 22nd. So looking forward to this. And again, the essay competition is about what does going digital mean to you? What does going digital mean to you?
What does digital transformation mean to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So this is exciting. So we look forward to this.
Absolutely.
And again, you'll be hearing a lot more about it over the next few days. But Duran, any tips for anybody out there, any of the students who might be interested in this? What would you say to them?
Well, for our sharp students, try not to use ChatGPT for this.
Oh, boy.
Because we will be checking that.
Okay.
But
don't get too digital on it now.
Just write from your heart, write from your mind. Do a bit of research on digital transformation if you don't know much about it yet, and just write it out.
Mm-hmm.
Send it off. The teachers will judge it, and we'll come up to a conclusion with the winner.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. All right. One more time with the how to get it in to you all.
Sure.
Email.
So you can email, at least your parents can email your essay, your name, grade, school, and your parents' contact info to alpha@platoalpha.com. And you can always go to our social media to find all the information there. It'll be posted. You can find us on all the platforms at Plato Alpha.
Okay. Excellent stuff. Duran Hume, CEO of Plato Alpha. Looking forward to what comes out of this. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dwight.
All right. And again, you're going to hear a lot more about it over the next few weeks, and we'll meet the winners next month or after next month. All right, let's take a break. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Indulge in an experience that awakens your senses with Nescafe Gold. Premium Arabica coffee beans, carefully selected, roasted to perfection, and finely ground, resulting in a unique and unmatched flavor and aroma that captivates the senses. Enticing aroma, smooth taste. Elevate your coffee experience with Nescafe Gold.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. Generations of Bahamians.
You've tried everything. ASUS with your mother's cousin's sister's auntie, and even hiding your money under your mattress. But is your money safe? Your Bahamian dollar deposit in a member bank or credit union is insured up to $50,000. If anything happens, your deposit up to the insured value will be returned to you thanks to Deposit Insurance. Visit Deposit Insurance Corporation at www.dic.bf.
Protection for your money guaranteed with DIC.
Okay, school bag, books, pencils, uniform. Oh, Lord. And I gotta buy snacks too?
Just lay it on the line.
The Guardian Media Group and AML Foods want to help families in need with our first ever Back to School Snackathon. What's a snackathon? Well, we want to help by assisting in donating school snacks to children that may need them as they head back to school this year. To be a part of our snackathon, all you have to do is shop at your favorite Solomon Superstore or Fresh Market. At the store, you can donate your pre-existing loyalty points, or you can donate cash directly at the register. Every single penny will go towards purchasing snacks that will be donated for distribution by the Bahamas Feeding Network and Hands for Hunger. Together, we can ensure that every child that opens their backpack this year will have a snack and a smile. Get involved, get involved. Get involved, get involved.
We're good for you.
Shopping is so rewarding with my Fidelity credit card. I get the best prices with price protection. Earn and redeem Freedom Points at my favorite stores. Get cash back. Plus, I booked a cruise. Get your Fidelity credit card today. Call 356-7764.
This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. The addition of 56 new cruise ships, an investment of $39 billion by the cruise ship companies through to 2028, will produce 129,400 cruise berths. Royal Caribbean International's Icon of the Seas, which will carry 5,610 passengers, will be the world's largest cruise ship when it's delivered in 2024. That's according to an article on website Cruise Industry News. The 56 ships will have an average passenger capacity of 2,311 passengers. RCI plans to have one of its newest and the second largest ship in its fleet sail an all-Bahamas itinerary when it hits the seas next summer. Utopia of the Seas expected to debut after Icon of the Seas in 2024 and will be an all-Bahamian cruise. Cruise Industry News says that in 2013, 19 ships and 38,587 berths will be delivered by the cruise industry. The year 2024 will have an additional 10 vessels and 25,450 berths entering service for different islands. With 19 ships currently on order, 2025 is shaping up to be a strong year for new builds and 6,830 berths joining the market. Following MasterCard's first FinTech Summit in the Bahamas, the company's country manager for the West and Dutch Caribbean, Jamina Elia, telling Guardian Business that she hopes to have MasterCard and the government sign a memorandum of understanding or some form of formalization of a partnership in the near future. She says that these formal partnerships have already been done with countries like Jamaica, Dominican Republic, and Panama, with other countries in the pipeline. There's hope that Securities Commission of the Bahamas will consider a dual approach to licensing firms in the digital asset space. That's according to Managing Director of SBC Corporate and Management Services, Simone Smith-Bean. She explained that the dual approach could be beneficial to spurring innovation while supporting expansion. And an initiative between the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and the Forestry Unit within the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources could increase access to climate financing opportunities. Acting Director of Forestry Danielle Hannock saying in the statement that the projects will supply data on the country's forest resources throughout the Family Islands and enable the Bahamas to report on those resources. The work will enable the country to effectively report about terrestrial resources across all ecosystems, from mangroves, coppice forests, and pine forests, with specific focus on central and southern islands of the Commonwealth. Overseas Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo from the United States says that she and her Chinese counterpart agreed today to exchange information on U.S. export controls that frustrate Beijing and set up a group to discuss other commercial issues. But neither side appeared ready to make concessions on disputes that have plunged relations to their lowest level in decades. Raimondo joining American officials, including Treasurer in July, who have visited China in hopes of reviving Chile relations. They expressed optimism about improving communication, but no progress on conflicts over technology, security, human rights, and a lingering tariff war. For its part, Chinese leader Xi Jinping and his government want to revive foreign investor interest in China as it tries to reverse a deepening economic slump. Raimondo said she and the Commerce Minister Wang Wentao agreed during a 4-hour meeting to launch an information exchange on export controls. She said they also will set up a working group of officials and private sector representatives to seek solutions on trade and investment issues. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Friday. Your market movers. Consolidated Water closing down 8 cents to $5.09. Emir Incorporated down 9 cents to $9.16. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 2,657, down 0.25. Recapping the week. The local market ended the week with 49,890 shares crossing the exchange, with 14 trades accumulating a value of $228,539. The BISX All-Share Index gained 0.15 points, or 0.01%, ending the week at 2,675.04. Year to date, the index is up 29.98 points, or 1.13%. The week's volume and value leader, Commonwealth Bank, moving 40,100 shares in 7 trades for a value of $180,332.50. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And tune in tonight for CFAL Talks, right here on Guardian Radio at 6:30 p.m. We're back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Laverne Gardner. Our final few minutes here. Just want to get through some of the text messages we got before we get into some more business-related matters. So early in the show, we were talking about a study with UB on the sexual abuse of women in heterosexual relationships by intimate partners, right? So we got a few messages we didn't have time to get to. Okay. So this message here, there are many takeaways from this discussion, but the most glaring reality is that we have not yet had any of the female politicians, MPs, nor opposition speak publicly on this issue. It's sad, and I cry shame on each and every one of them. Well, not entirely sure that is true, especially not the opposition at the moment. But there's been lots of talk on it. But I'm not sure what you want in exactly. Maybe you might be desiring something specific, but that hasn't been the case. But okay. This person says here, blessed good morning, Dwight and guests. My question to you is, why put single women and married women in the survey? If you were never married, how can you say what's going on in the married people's bedroom? In my opinion, you're all pushing this agenda by the outside forces. It should be married women in the survey only. All right, so I'm really concerned that many don't understand. They did explain this, right?
They did explain that they were getting this information from single and married women.
Yes.
So the questions that would apply, I'm sure the single women would not be the same. They wanted to also do a contrast.
Yes, they were
so
comparing.
To get a contrast, you have to question just not
everybody.
Married ladies. You have to also include single ladies.
And again, the title is Sexual Abuse of Women in Heterosexual Relationships by Intimate Partners.
If you
single
so
and
you may
married.
not all be married, but you may be in a relationship.
Yeah. So listen carefully, folks, right? And they're saying we're more likely to have to endure non-consensual sex. But again, the numbers, while still larger than people would expect and hope for, it's not everybody, right? So it was only about up to 16% of the married women said they experienced that, compared to 6%.
Right.
But it wasn't 90 or 100%. So listen carefully.
And please, when you're calling the others, I have to say this because when the study first came out, we didn't really speak about it in depth. We kind of touched on it a little bit, Dwight. I was maybe about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you remember. But anyway, later that week, I was listening to another talk show, and there was a caller who was going on and on about the survey that came out that showed that the majority of married women were experiencing. Right. So let's make sure that we are paying attention to the information that you, the accurate information that you're getting, so that when you have these conversations, don't listen with your biases. Because maybe sometimes the biases, and we're all guilty of it wherever our biases lie, right?
Yeah.
But, let's make sure we're paying attention to the information.
Absolutely. So you might be hearing it wrong. So go online and do some further research and then see if what you heard was right. Don't just repeat what you heard. Right. But it's very important that that number be said. And I don't know about you, but that number sounds exactly like what I thought it would be. Just knowing how people are around here. Right. 14 to 16%. Not 60%, not 70%, right? So it is
but it's
definitely,
a percentage.
But
it wasn't
is
0%.
It wasn't zero.
So it's happening on some level, and even if it was only 1%, if it was just one person, that one person still needs protection. That's my view.
Right.
But yeah.
No. So some people around here don't seem to share that view, though. It seems. If it's only one person, why do we need a law for it? That seems to be the way people in the Bahamas think these days, which is quite something. But yeah. All right. So this person says here, why would the social sciences at UB find something, or why don't they find something else to be obsessed over? This is biased. Okay.
I don't think so. And UB does a lot of research. We've had, and I'm saying this based on the guests that we've had and the different findings. It's just one of it. And this is what is happening in our society. We have to be able to communicate and talk about these things and listen to opposing viewpoints in a sensible way, because it's not what we want to hear, or it's not what we agree with. We can't just automatically reject it out of turn. And I think that's one of our problems. We tend not to want to discuss, have sometimes these difficult conversations. We don't have them in our home. We don't have them in public spaces. And sometimes when we do, it's just so belligerent and ignorant, and it's fine. You don't have to agree. Everybody, has an opinion. But when you're given information, data, because it's not what you may want it to be, or it's not what you believe, to not dismiss it out of turn. I like the fact that UB does this kind of research.
Yeah.
Not just this. Remember, they also did the research. It was another arm, but they also did research about the cost of living, a living wage as opposed to minimum wage. So you're getting this kind of data that you can look at, and it really is to help policymakers. So now you have data. You have some data that you could look at. I don't know if you're going to look at it. I don't know if it's going to come to that. But at least we have it there.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. But what I find amazing is that Bahamians will say we don't do enough research and we don't have enough data and statistics. But when you are presented with the findings,
if you don't like it, you reject
right.
it.
Oh, this didn't ask me anything. Nobody. Yeah, right.
I didn't get it. I wasn't included.
Who did they talk to? Well, but, yeah. Okay. Interesting stuff.
We do that here. We do that here about issues that we are uncomfortable with or we don't agree with. But we'll go online and Google something
And quote
and
that
it'll be
forever.
research, and we will
that
be
forever.
quoting that data up and down, and you don't have any more proof that data is any more accurate, doesn't contain any biases. You don't have any more proof of that than you do of when these researches are done locally. Well, we question the validity of them, boy. We do.
Absolutely. This texter, I guess this is related to digital, going digital. This person says, hey, is it legal for businesses to charge additional money to use a credit or debit card? It is not legal.
They are not supposed to.
Not legal. Yeah. They say there's
a number of businesses do, but they are not supposed to.
Yeah. They say there's a liquor store on Gladstone Road that has a minimum purchase of $20 to use your card, but on top of that, they charge you an additional $2 or $3 to use the card. Is this legal? Absolutely not, and you are to report them. Report them to the bank that you have the card with, and hopefully they'll do something about it. But I know we've been talking about this for decades, and these companies never stop. So I don't know what the banks, and I don't think it's really the central bank, but whoever it is, these folks, I don't know what's going on around here. Nobody's doing anything about this, and we see it every day.
And
There's
people
so
have
many
been
places
complaining about it.
Yep, so many places with a
People
minimum
have been
requirement.
complaining about it.
It is unbelievable, but yeah,
Right.
you're not supposed to do it.
You got to spend $25 or, which, and it's really because what they're doing is passing on whatever merchant charge that they incur. They're passing it on to the customer, and that's not supposed to happen because it's supposed to be treated like cash, right?
Okay, well, listen
You
to
don't
this
charge
text.
extra for cash.
Now, I don't know. I have to check on this. Anyway, this texter says it's not illegal, but it's against the credit card company policy. But there's nothing in our law stopping them from doing it. Well, that's
okay.
Oh
Wow.
boy. Well, so again, we have to ask the question: what are these MPs good for? Loopholes? No. What are these MPs good for? What are you all doing? Wasting our time talking nonsense when you're not making the laws to really protect the people who put you there. Well, you have to check that one out. But the cards,
I gotta
the companies
ask you,
know.
Dwight, on the digital, like how fully have you embraced this digital life? You know, like your smart home, like you full 100%, whatever it is that's going to make my life more convenient. Or is it where there's you like it for certain things, but maybe not so much for others?
I think I'm getting there. I'm like, I'd say I'm in the 80%.
80% what?
Fully digital and embracing it. Sometimes you do need cash, I guess. Sometimes you don't want to have to not deal with a person, you know what I mean? But I prefer it than not. I do online banking, most of my stuff. I'd rather not go in. But sometimes you do need to.
You have to go.
In and touch and feel and stuff.
Yeah, for me, 100% with banking. Anything that I can do digitally when it comes to banking, I'm for it. I am absolutely for it. I think I shared this story at event since I had not gone into Scotiabank in more than a year, right? Everything that I could do, I did at the ATM, did online. And they had changed the door, but what happened was I had to go in the bank, and the lady inside, she was saying, "Come to the door," and I'm standing where I knew the door was, and I'm saying, "Is this what, an automatic open?" Looking round and round, and she's laughing and pointing. They'd move the door over to the side, Dwight. That's how bad. But how bad it was. I had not been in the bank, been doing banking every day, right? But I'm thinking in terms of everything else, not just the banking part of it, right? But, like I said, you have the smart home. Like you could almost be fully digital as much as however that's possible. Would you even drive one of those? What is it? I can't remember the brand of itself.
No. No. What? No, that's all right. I like to actually.
What is it?
I mean, there are a lot of different models have some sort of semi-autonomous driving, but no, that's fine.
You wouldn't give up that kind of control.
unless we're in bumper to bumper traffic, and I might as well just sit back and read my phone or something, as we do now. Not the paper anymore. Read the phone. But yeah, no. I don't mind driving. If I can drive, I don't like traffic. But
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think for you, it's necessary for you to still have that control because it will match your road rage. You know?
Laverne, you keep throwing these low blows at me. I don't know what this is about.
It's true.
I don't
like,
know.
can you imagine if you had a vehicle that was driving itself? Then was your vehicle going to know to follow the car that was driving stupidly and overtook
No, I
you
wouldn't
and
do that.
almost, right?
I
You
wouldn't do
have
that.
to be able to
I
make that decision.
just blow my horn at them. I don't follow them. I don't need to get into any. You blow my horn at them and let them know how stupid they are. But this texter says that our lawmakers need to change the laws to protect people. There should be laws on how the fees work too, I guess. How is $5 per transfer fair? If it's a $25 transfer and you lose $5, that should be illegal. And 5% of sales on credit card can really affect a company. Yeah. These are the things they're not talking about. What is that about?
Right.
Why is that?
We're not talking about all these incredible banking fees to start with.
Well,
we're not having that conversation.
Well, some people are, but they're not doing, and they're in a position to do something about it, but they're not doing anything about it.
But they're talking about
They're
it.
talking about it. What is that about? This person says, is it okay to go digital but stay away from fully digital AI homes, etc.? Sure, do whatever makes you happy. It makes you feel safe.
For me, something, as much as I kind of embrace this digital life, to a certain extent, can I tell you what I'm really old-fashioned about?
What's that?
When I make a call. I absolutely love to speak with a human being when I call somewhere.
Okay.
When I call somewhere and this automated thing, and then, put in the extension, and then you put in the extension, and then you got to go through who's just to speak with a human. All I want to do is hear a human. I don't know. That's just, especially if I need some sort of service. I absolutely want to speak with a human being right off the bat.
Well, I hear you. Sometimes the humans are the ones who are going to frustrate you. If you press 1, press 2, press 3, you'll get that. You'll get your answers better through that. But when you talk to the person, the lack of information or the attitude, this is why am I doing
I don't
this?
know. I'm a sick person. I just like that interaction. I really do. And I can say that the experiences aren't all the good outweighs the bad. You do have some bad experiences, but then that's not always the case. But for me, that's the thing. I absolutely want to speak with a human.
This texter says, sorry to change the topic, but do you know that it takes over 5 months on average for a retiree from the public service to receive their first paycheck? Whoa. And no one has a reasonable explanation as to why the armed forces, who would have put in 25 plus years, have to wait months, and in one case in particular, over a year, to get their pensions. And no one seems to care. Can we have someone on to speak on these things? Because going to the Treasury, the public Treasury, has proven futile. Can someone help us? Boy.
Yeah. I think we really should, if we can, get someone to speak to that while the process, because this isn't a new thing. I've heard this, and I'm sure you have as well, people's frustration. And if you're retired, all intents and purposes, this is your only form of income. So can you imagine you're having to wait 5 months, especially if you don't have a savings to kind of fall back on?
Yeah, that is crazy.
So we need to get somebody on the show talking about
But like you said, it's been, decades that you've been hearing this. And it isn't getting better.
Any
better. Yeah. Wow. All right. So a few more memories of our Steve Hawhey. Got this message here. I met Steve over 22 years ago. He was so kind and giving. I will truly miss him. Yep. same again. It's really shocking. I met him. I was 21 when I first started in media, and definitely a long time ago. Hey, but it's going to be an interesting time here today and this week, I suspect, for all of us. But for those who messaged, thank you for your well wishes, and again to his family and friends, definitely deepest condolences. And yeah, it's going to be. I don't even know what else to say. But Laverne, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. Really appreciate
Always
it.
a pleasure.
Thursday's going to be interesting. I'll let you know about that soon. I'll tell you off air. I'll be back. Yeah. Brace yourself. Tomorrow, I'll be back with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Everybody have a great day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next. Grab your camera, capture the spirit of the Bahamas, and win cash and prizes. Scotiabank, in partnership with the Guardian Media Group, invites all youth, amateur, and professional photographers to enter the Celebrate Bahamas 50 photography competition, being held under the theme One Nation, One Legacy, Our Future. With more than $8,000 in cash to be won, snap those photos and send them in by August 30th.